Hi and welcome along to DR Sports for the weekend roundup. And also, it's Halloween, right? And it's been Halloween for certain teams this weekend. It's been a very, very scary time, right? Let me introduce our panel, as usual, the wonderful Abby. Summer's in the building. Big up to you. AGT, big Liverpool fan.
Every week.
Liverpool. Right?
Yep, in the mud.
And trying to hide himself.
Who is that?
Matisse.
It's not me.
But we can notice by the Chelsea shirt you got on that, yeah, I big you up for still repping Chelsea, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, fair play.
Big up for that. But listen, thanks to you guys for joining us on the weekend roundup. Of course, on this show, this is where we take a look at the weekend's games. And I've got to say, it's been an extraordinary weekend with some of the results. Basically what they call the coupon buster, you know. I don't even know where to start this week. I don't know where to start. By the way,
I'm not wearing that.
Maybe you should wear this.
Listen,
I already
wore
wore
my
my
mask this weekend.
I'm good.
No,
I already wore my mask. I knew what it
Where did we
was.
start this week?
We're also joined by Jurgen Klopp here. You know what I mean? No, that's a bit harsh. Sorry.
That is very harsh.
Listen,
Hang on.
I couldn't resist it.
No, that's
man.
Wenger.
I couldn't resist it. But no, listen, guys. In all seriousness, where do we start, Abby?
I reckon we start with Matisse.
Chelsea.
Yeah, why not?
Let's start with Chelsea, Matisse, shall we?
I don't know who that is.
So the Potter era is going well
Yeah.
for you.
We was unbeaten until yesterday, and then we were beaten quite convincingly.
Let's set the scene for it. Of course, right? It's Graham Potter, of course, who used to manage Brighton.
And Kukurea.
Yep, Kukurea.
Bruno, the assistant manager.
Yep. All going back to Brighton for the first time with Chelsea. Chelsea been on a great run. Qualified for the Champions League, looking really, really decent in the league in recent times. Go to Brighton and get absolutely taken apart. 4-1. I mean, Matisse, what happened? You've been playing well. I remember earlier on in the season, there was a similar sort of result when you went to Leeds.
Yeah.
And you lost that game 3-0. But what went wrong for Chelsea in that game? And also, how good were Brighton, by the way? And this kid, Trossard, again.
Big problem.
Sadly, he's not a kid. He's old. He's actually in his prime. I'm starting to see it. He's like 28, 27, is he? He needs to be snapped up. I think
last year of his contract, by the way.
Yeah, could go on a free next year.
Big clubs coming in.
Do you know what? I don't want to link myself to him as a club because I feel like that's where this all went wrong in the first place. You know, us taking the furniture out of their house, we took their manager, we took their assistant manager, we took their head of recruitment, took their player of the year.
That is harsh, that.
We took a lot of things out of their house and then they just, like I said on Twitter, turned up in a van and they beat us up. They filmed it. They made us watch. That's where it is.
They done a raid.
Yeah, that's where it is. So I'm not gonna
sweep.
lie. They're a nice club. I went to watch them last season, and they're well ran. You know, it looks like nothing's really changed despite ripping up all the infrastructure. They're still playing good football. They had more possession than City last week, so we knew it was gonna be a tough game. But 5 minutes in, I said, Silva, he thinks this is West Brom because it's the stripes, Rob. You know what I'm saying? It's the stripes. I saw Silva first 5 minutes. He had to clear the ball off the line twice. He gave the ball away.
Brilliant clearances, by the way.
Yeah,
But one of them was his own doing. And as soon as I saw Silva, one of our best players, having a bad day, I knew we were finished. Do you know what I mean? And then we went 1-0 down. And then, of course, the Amex is rocking. Potter said after the game he'd never seen an atmosphere like that the whole time he was there. They wanted vengeance. The players were at it as well. So I said, you know what? It's just going to be one of those days. Hopefully it stays respectful. But it wasn't. You know, it was very disrespectful. Completely. They just completely annihilated us. So I'm still in recovery, to be honest. But here's what it is.
Is it worrying for you? Is that a worrying... Because as I said, that's a couple now.
Yeah,
that's a couple.
but first one under him. I feel like it's one of those days. You know when everything just goes wrong? I can't even pinpoint individuals too much. Like Silva started it and then it was like a virus. It just spread everywhere throughout the team. But everybody was bad. Like there was no player that played well for Chelsea. The system from Potter as well, he was very bold. He played Pulisic and Sterling as wing backs. I said that's either going to go great or it's going to go awful and nothing in between because I think he wanted to push Trossard and march back. What ended up happening was they just had the freedom to go out wide and just create havoc, which they did. We got dominating in midfield as well. Casado was brilliant. He kept playing passes in between the lines, one for the goal that turned into an own goal. McAllister was brilliant. Pascal Gross had the freedom of the park. So I really am shocked that we had the midfielders to match them. We played like 4 central midfielders and we still ran ragged. So yeah, systematically and team-wise, we were just all over the place. We were awful.
Yeah, Raheem Sterling's not really pulling up any trees at the moment at Chelsea. I think
Started off well.
it's quite a while. Started off all right, but he's gone quite a while without a goal and just not looking himself at the moment.
He's playing. I mean, to be fair, when you play wing back for Potter, as we saw at Brighton, because they're literally still playing in a similar way. So that's, I guess, what we have to look forward to. Hopefully, you're still getting far forward. You're still playing left wing. You know, you're still getting up that part of the pitch. So it shouldn't be too much of a change for him. I think for him, his decision making has just been really poor. I think maybe he's seeing the ball a little bit less than he did at City in terms of just the volume of chances he's getting, and because he's missing them, it's standing out more. Whereas when you're at City, you get more and more chances. It doesn't matter if you miss because there's another one coming 5 minutes later. And I said that when he signed, is that I'm very interested to see who else we sign around him, because if we're going to lean on this guy and we're going to expect him to carry us, that's not going to happen. He's going to show up a lot of faults. His finishing is not the best. His decision making has been poor. I personally think he could have been dropped the last couple of games. He's been poor. So yeah, he's not been great. But you know what is Raheem Sterling? You know, at some point you expect him to come back from it. Do you know what I mean? He's got the career to show it. So yeah.
Mark T says, "Oh my God, I didn't think we were having a special guest today. It's a Power Ranger." He said, "I'm your biggest fan." Not, he says, Chelsea who?
Wow.
It's actually more like a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. More
I
Ninja Turtle.
can see the Ninja Turtle in you.
That's what I was going for.
At Brighton, right? They were pumped for this game, weren't they, Abby? You could see it. The fans. They booed Potter as well, which was a little bit surprising.
The whole game booing Potter.
They told me they would, to be fair.
That was like a toxic environment. But that for you guys.
I was surprised at how hostile it was towards Potter, because he did do great things for him. They, they got 20 million for him, and come on, Brighton fans got to understand that Chelsea come knocking, he's gonna go in it.
From what Brighton fans told me in the previews, is that they weren't just booing Potter, they were booing Chelsea as a club for what they did.
Fair enough.
Which is understandable, because we took literally everyone.
Yeah,
so I think if Potter had just left, but he didn't. The thing is with Potter is he took Bruno, the assistant. He took the goalkeeping coach. He took the head of recruitment. So they're not booing Potter for taking the opportunity to make 60 million in 5 years. They're booing Potter for taking everyone with him. Yeah. And Chelsea for continuously trying to take more players after taking a player already. So
I get booing Chelsea because I do that as well, but
we all do, just because it's Chelsea.
But they were inspired, weren't they?
They were. I did think it was harsh with doing, but now you've explained it, I totally get that. I thought they looked brilliant, to be fair. I think Trossard's a player that we've seen, not just this season, but I'd say probably over the last 2-3 seasons, where he can't, he's consistent, and we do talk about him every season, as a player that always pops up, one of those, and now he's obviously stepping up another level, because Brighton keep going from level to level. So we're looking at him more in depth. Obviously, you mentioned he's out of contract. He's someone that will definitely get a move, and to maybe a slightly bigger club than Brighton. But I think they're playing brilliant football, Brighton. Spurs played them a few weeks ago. I think that was amazing that we managed to get a win there, considering how good they've been. But they outrun you. They just went for you. I mean, I thought Chalobah, again, not to single out anyone in particular because you were all bad, but I thought Chalobah looked really in the mud with them as well. They just kept coming, and I don't think anyone really helped in terms of tracking back that much. I think that there wasn't any compactness for you guys.
The midfield was awful.
And I think credit to them, they completely outclassed you. You looked absolutely all over the place. And yeah, I'm very happy. Good win for Brighton.
Kovacic, Ruben, Mason, everybody was poor in that midfield. They just couldn't get near them. It was embarrassing.
What do you make of it, AGT?
I think before the game, we covered it on the Saturday Football Show, formation-wise for Chelsea, and the actual names in the formation was all wrong. I think Potter tactically really underestimated his old team, which, should you do that, having only left them 3 or 4 weeks ago, you should kind of know what to expect. He said in his interview after that, he's got nothing to apologise for all the boos, and I'm with him on that. But Chelsea, they always have this result in them. I feel like they go on a nice stretch, and then they've always got a 3-0, a 4-1 in them. The thing that really surprised me the most is how poor Thiago Silva was. I saw him up close in the FA Cup final, and I said, when you see someone up close, you go, wow, what a defender this guy is. Still 37. But when, as Matisse said, when he's having a bad day,
it affects the whole team.
And that was the worst I've seen him for Chelsea. And even Havertz's goal should have been saved. That was header straight at the keeper. And that's Spain's number 1, by the way.
Yeah.
Or one of them, anyway, because De
I
Gea isn't.
But I actually do think that he's a good keeper.
No, he
I
is.
do. I think he's actually
Header
someone...
straight at him, though. I think it was a bit
straight
weak.
at him, but I think that he pulled off quite a lot of saves
He
in
did.
that game.
No,
I
for
thought
sure.
he was
Chelsea
good.
should have had more goals.
What's interesting about what you just said, sorry to interrupt you, was about tactics. And it's not the first time we've sat here and spoke about Potter's tactics since he's come in. Even the week before against United, we were questioning his team selection and kind of the way he set up the game. And it was only when he made that substitution and brought on Kovacic that Chelsea actually looked better. So that is a question.
And the difference is now he's at Chelsea, right? And when you're
You
at
can get away with that at
Brighton,
Brighton,
you can do a little
for
tactical
sure.
thing. Maybe you lose, goes
we'll go
right
again
under
next
the
week.
radar. But then when it comes off, you're hailed as this great.
Yeah.
But when you're at a big club like Chelsea, where absolutely everything is highlighted, you know,
Question marks.
little twerks in the combination, and that people start saying, you know, you're tinkering, and it's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And you're right. You know, it's a couple of weeks now where he's got the team wrong. And even before that, he was having to hook off Cucurella sometimes 30, 40 minutes into the game because of something that he wanted to change there. I mean, yeah, so I think for him it is going to be a big step up, but I'm still, you know, I think he's still a very, very talented manager. I think it's just going to take time. I think Chelsea fans, they just have to be patient. You know what I mean? I think we have to hopefully still take that top 4 position, because I think that's always the bare minimum expectation. But in terms of results like this, it's going to happen. The team for me is still, when you look at it, you still look at the teams and you think, yeah, it's good to play the hypothetical. What else could we have done? But did I really want to see Azpilicueta versus Trossard? Not really. Did I really want to see Jorginho potentially trying to deal with all those players in the half spaces? Not really. So there's certain parts of the team where I'm looking at, I'm like, you know, when the lineup went out, I thought it's bold. For sure, it's really bold and maybe too bold. But yeah, I think there's some areas of the team that they definitely need to sort out, and some players that could leave as well.
Okay, a couple of comments there. Anakin says Chelsea got slapped. Tender Tim says Moses Caicedo will be a big player at the World Cup
Big time.
with Ecuador. There was also somebody at Allier says AGT, we need Caicedo badly. And Obina says, would you take Trossard at Spurs, Arsenal?
Yes.
Abby, sorry.
Yes.
Arsenal.
yes, I would. I would take Trossard at Spurs.
Jim Fox
Absolutely.
says Chelsea are embarrassing. That's a bit harsh, but you know, it is one game that they lost. They've been on a good run. Sharik says Potter left his wand at home, got put in a magical spliff by Volder Zerbi. Leeds winning the derby, and seeing AGT quiet as an ant is a beautiful sight, he says. Chelsea, Arsenal, oh my God, says Joe Abdi. Of course, that's Chelsea's next game against Arsenal. Big game coming up. Let's move it on, because you know you can take the balaclava off now. You know what I mean? You can reveal that it is Matisse under there, but you know it's kind of over at the moment, right?
Moving on.
You may want to lend the master AGT, because we're going to move swiftly on to Liverpool.
From one clown to another. Trust me, you can come for me as well. Don't worry.
Yeah, just
well.
just poor Robbie again.
By the way, just before that, just keep can we see the
get the likes up.
Yeah, get the likes up. You know what I mean? Loving all you guys in the chat at the moment. Brilliant as usual. Liverpool, talk to us, man, because as I was saying to you, I went to the cinema, came out of the cinema, my mate texted me, and he just put WTF Liverpool. And I was like,
That's what I was saying as well.
I was like, Liverpool could never have lost.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the score, and that one shocked me because it's Anfield. And that has been the place where, despite the fact that Liverpool have been very poor on the road this season, at Anfield, fortress.
Yeah.
Van Dijk's playground.
Yeah, 71 games Van Dijk went unbeaten. It's his first game he's lost at Anfield for Liverpool. First game we've lost with fans in the stadium since April 2017 against Crystal Palace. And records are there to be broken, and I think Leeds totally deserved it. They outrun us, they outfought us. The outrunning bit is just something I just can't get my head around, because a stat that came up at the end of the first half, it said Leeds had run 7 kilometres more than Liverpool in the first half alone. And when you look at what our success has been like over the last few years, there's a few words that come to mind: intensity, high press, fans really on the opposition's backs, sucking the ball into the net at some points in the late minutes. And we just had absolutely none of that, to be outrun by Leeds. I mean, we saw what Eric Ten Hag did when they lost away at Brentford. He made them run 8 kilometres more, and then they went and beat Liverpool. through outrunning them. So it's just not an excuse. And the individual performances of, I can never really put Alisson in this because he's just saved us too many times. He was like running up halfway line, putting balls in the box at the end. So he gets a free pass. But Trent, Gomez is a mistake for the first goal. And I will say it is a Gomez mistake because Alisson was looking at him as if to say, look at me before you do this. Yeah. And he's put an absolute hospital pass, basically just setting it up for Rodrigo to score. However, where was Van Dijk?
Van Dijk was on his heels.
I think you absolutely need to put Van Dijk into the conversation.
No, I haven't even got to him yet.
Van Dijk was on his heels.
Trent came up after an hour, awful performance. Van Dijk, awful. Gomez, awful. Robertson had a good game in midweek. Was probably the best out of the 5 at the back, but in the midfield, awful again. I don't know what's happened to Fabinho. He's fallen off a rock. I think there's rumours that him and his girlfriend, who's very vocal on Twitter and social media of their relationship, she's deleted her account. Allegedly, he's living in a hotel in the city centre. So is that going to affect his performances?
Maybe. He's too young to have fallen off this badly.
He's 28.
He's only 28. He's not like, physically he shouldn't be falling off.
But physically, he's getting bullied by Aronson. With all due respect, this is someone half his size, very good player, but to get pushed on the floor. So that's the midfield. I mean, Thiago was poor. The amount of times we gave the ball away was totally unexcusable. And do you know what? For the first time, Robbie, and you'll probably like me saying this, I watched Klopp speak after, and I looked at him, and I thought, you're not the same guy, man. He was speaking over the journalist at the end. He was not really making sense with his answers. It was like, it wasn't excuses, but it also didn't come together as a sentence about why we lost the game. And then up front, totally toothless as well. Darwin, he scores really hard chances and misses really easy ones. Salah gets his customary goal. He was poor as well. And then Harvey was also poor. And then, you know, you bring on Milner. You bring on Milner to chase the game and get us a goal. I mean, when we scored in the 13th minute to equalise, you're thinking 80-odd minutes here. Surely we're going to get a goal. But as time went on and they got that chance to score, do you know what I said? I said, Leeds deserve this because we don't. We don't deserve anything right now, and it's so disappointing. I know how you feel, man. For the last few years, I know how you feel. That's what I
said, we swapped.
We have swapped.
We swapped.
It's awful, and I'm starting to get really worried. I'm panicking because I'm going to lose my job. But I just feel like
don't get any easier because the next game,
we've got Tottenham away. We could easily get turned over. We've got Napoli at home on Tuesday.
All the pressure on you.
But this Fortress Anfield at the minute, it's just totally not that, Rob. And it's a very worrying time to be a Liverpool fan now because it's not only the team, we're also asking questions about the manager who's pretty much been untouchable so far. Now the owners have to come into this as well. Klopp can't take all this heat. He has to share it with the owners.
What's the problem? Is it the defence or is it the midfield?
I think it's both. When you've got a midfield that technically is the oldest in the midfield, surely two 31-year-olds just simply can't run as much as two 24-year-olds. It's just physically impossible. Yeah. So the age of them, they can't run that much anymore. And when the defence isn't being protected as much as they were 2 years ago, then they're going to lose confidence. So need a midfielder, could do with another centre-back. I know Konate and Matip have been unreal, but this pairing at the minute of Gomez, he has to get dropped for the next game. I'm a big fan of his as well, but it's a worrying time.
I think you've got to ask him questions.
I know you can't drop him because it's Van Dijk.
The thing is, you can't drop him because it's Van Dijk, but at the same time, questions need to be asked, bro. How you've just stood there and let that goal. How many goals this season have we
seen him just stand there?
I know. And
I mean, his reactions.
There's been a lot of goals. I've
Trent
looked at
wasn't
Van
even
Dijk.
running. And Curtis Jones, when he came on, don't even get me started on him. Jesus. Anyway, that's my rant over.
If anyone had told you at the start of the season that Liverpool we'd be, he'd even
had us down for the title.
I had you down for the title.
And at the moment, Liverpool in 9th place on 16 points. They're 15 points
worse than Hodgson's Liverpool now.
They're actually closer to the bottom than they are to the top 4.
And we deserve to be.
On points.
I think everything you just said is completely spot on. I think when you think about a team, your midfield is your engine room. That's why it's called the engine room. And I think that when you've got two players in there that are, like, what did you say? Wake up. At least you didn't miss the show. 30, what was it, 31 and 32. I think that really shows. I think especially with the intensity that Liverpool have always played at in the last 5 years, that really does show when the engine room slows down. And also, it kind of does expose the back a little bit. This is not me saying that, players like Van Dijk weren't as good as they were. Of course they were. But at the same time, they had that protection from the midfield, and they're just not getting it at the minute. And I think that also comes into play with someone like Trent, who has notoriously always not been the best at defending, but going forward. And I think that now there's been much more questions asked of him defensively. Should he have improved over the past 5 seasons? Yes, he should have defensively, but clearly now there's questions being answered. You've also lost Mane. We cannot, go
David
over
Taylor says that
how
in the
big that
comments.
is.
Mane will always be a
I
big
don't like
miss.
saying that though, because Mane wanted to leave, so he left.
He did
We've
leave,
got to
but-
stop this thing about you miss Mane. Of course we do.
I don't think it's
But he
Mane. I
wanted
think it's the
to leave.
midfield.
It is
I
the
really
It
do
is,
think
but I
it's the
still think
midfield.
even just having the comprehension between the midfield and up front, I think Mane was a massive link for
He
you
was.
guys. And I know that it's gone, we can't keep going over it, but I do
Luis
think...
Diaz replaced him, and
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
one was complaining about
No,
Luis
no one was,
Diaz,
and
so
Jota
as soon
as
we
well.
lose, people
Yeah,
bring up
Jota.
Mane.
I think for me it's the midfield because
It is.
the midfield is not doing anything. It's the reason why I know this is because it's literally like ours. It's like, are they helping you create an abundance of chances every game? Not really. Are they helping you really defend and be rock solid? No. What are the strengths of Liverpool's midfield right
They're
now?
not assisting or scoring either.
They're not assist. That's what I'm saying. They're not assisting or
Great
scoring. They're not
assist
defending.
from Hendo in the week. in the
Not doing
Champions
anything.
League, but do you know what? It's just so disappointing to see. And as I mentioned, Klopp looks different now. The players look drained. And I have to say, I didn't really admit it until yesterday, but that psychological and that mental damage that must have happened from being 90, 180 minutes away
Yeah.
from immortality forever.
Yeah.
Just to have that taken away from you, and then you got to pick yourself up and go again. I'm not saying that's the main reason. It's one
It's
of
very
them.
tough to do though. Like how do you really recover from that so instantly?
Losing the Champions League?
Champions League, the Premier League on the final day, especially
Yeah.
when Aston Villa take the lead with Coutinho, you're
2-0
buzzing.
up.
Like it.
Yeah, it's about refreshing, isn't it? It's about
need new
And that's what we
new
did.
new
Not
faces.
Not
Yeah.
going
I was saying-
stale. Not
Yeah.
going
I was
stale.
saying the other day, it's what Fergie used to do so well over the years when he's at Man United, right? He used to do it better even than, Wenger, Arsenal. That he would just refresh the whole thing.
Yeah.
He'd realised that the cycle of that team was over,
Yeah.
and he'd bring in 3-4 new faces and refresh it, and they'd go again, and that would even refresh
Klopp
the
knows
other
this,
Sometimes you-
remaining players. But
he's
Liverpool
not
have
getting
not
the
done
backing
that.
from the owners to do that.
I don't think Klopp does 100% know it because
because
he did
he's-
say in the
yeah.
summer that he didn't need a midfielder.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes you need to know
So
when.
why, he bought one though, didn't he?
Yeah, well, last minute,
He
like
changed his
Tuchel, they
mind.
panicked, isn't it, with
But
Arthur Melo
how
and
can
Zakaria.
you honestly say he's not getting the backing because you still spent, how much was Darwin Núñez?
He was 85, which obviously was a massive outlay for a player like him, and we're still yet to, I mean, we're seeing it. We are seeing he's getting in the right. He could have had 15 goals if he took all his chances. We got him. But the real key one was the midfield, and that was ignored. Now, whether
said
that's
he
the
didn't need
owners, whether it's Klopp telling, I just can't
And
imagine
they brought
that
in
we're...
Arthur last minute.
I
and
just
he's
can't
been
imagine
injured,
that
hasn't
as a club we'd be saying, no, we're good. I can't imagine that. There must have been something that's
Is it
happened.
because
I
you
don't
wanted
know.
to hold out for Jude Bellingham? Is that why?
But
it's
you mentioned
If we
record?
do
But
that, we give everyone else more time to collect money up to buy
But
him
that
and
could have
nick
been
him
it.
off of
That
us.
could have
And
been
then
what
the
you
thing is
decided
now,
to do.
Jude Bellingham, will he come if there's no Champions
Well,
League?
there's the big question.
I think Klopp thought that Jones, Carvalho, Elliott, I thought he could rely on these guys to stand up and give him that energy and that extra little bit of pace in the midfield that you say are lacking. I think with managers, they're very loyal to their older players, obviously, that have brought them a lot of success, but sometimes you need to know when to get rid of some of your best players as well. You look at someone like Fabinho, does he need maybe a new challenge? He's been at that team for God knows how long since he signed from Monaco. He's been poor since the start of the calendar year, not just this season. Maybe he needs a new challenge, and you get a fresh DM. If you were to, I know you were looking at Tchouameni, you didn't get him if you'd gone for
We've
someone
been
else.
50 million for him.
Yeah, if you had gone for someone else, and then just out and out replace him, maybe because these players have been at Liverpool for a long time,
Yeah,
and they've missed out on.
It's knowing how to
some-
refresh.
I just want to
silver.
add one thing to you. You're so right, and especially what you just said about the Champions League. Spurs had the exact same thing after we played you in the Champions League final. We were getting to that point where it was really stale, needed a big summer window. I think we bought in Ndombele that window. Can't remember who else. Maybe I think 2 more, but it wasn't enough. You needed to keep doing it. And I think, like you said about the psychological thing, and the impact that definitely does have on a team from being at that pinnacle and then, losing it and then going back to having the same old kind of like stale team and trying to pick up the momentum. I think
It's really,
it doesn't
really
help.
difficult.
Planning has been poor.
Lignesh says, loved hearing AGT, awful. Robbie, please bring DR Sports to India.
Doesn't make sense.
During our season. He says we, and he says Man United, will finish top 4. Spurs, Liverpool will finish out of, he says. Love the channel. Ooh, wow, that's a big statement. Sharik says, they say you'd be a sick person to enjoy this Liverpool downfall. Well, I should be admitted into hospital, I guess. United really broke Liverpool. Obviously, Man United fans loving it at the moment to see Liverpool that's suffering. Nick Toll says, that trophy parade for the Carabao and FA Cup cursed Liverpool. is what he's saying.
How can a parade curse you? What? It's just ridiculous from you.
Alex is
You need a midfielder
Sausage, look at
you
you.
need a midfielder in January, says Eric.
One that can run, ideally.
Yeah.
ideally and move.
So a bad day at the office.
Surely we've got to move on from Liverpool now.
Well, I thought we'd stay here for a little bit longer, but time is running. So we will go to Tottenham now. Tottenham, of course, 2-0 down against Bournemouth. I was there rubbing my hands. I was like,
same.
yes.
Well,
right?
not really, same
yes.
time.
Right, but I then looked at the game, right? And I was like, it's still early.
It wasn't that early, to be fair. It wasn't that
So
early.
they get one back, and then when they got that one back, I'm like, I'll go, these lot won't hang on. I'll go, probably. But I was looking, I was thinking, even a draw, I'd be happy with that for Arsenal because you'd expect Tottenham to go to Bournemouth and win. But let's give them a lot of credit. They came back and, really piled the pressure on, corner after corner after corner. Bournemouth stopped doing all the things, and a lot of teams do this. I even see Arsenal do this before as well. The things that
Put you in that position.
you in
Stop
that
doing
position,
it. Yeah.
you stop doing all of a sudden. You invite all the pressure on. Tottenham, to be fair, piled the pressure on, and they got the winning goal through
Second half.
in the second half, and Bentancur got the winner. And actually, what was quite impressive by Tottenham is the fact that it wasn't none of the big guns that we would have thought, Harry Kane or Son. It wasn't them guys who got the job done. It was Davis and Bentancur and those guys, and that was a big win in the end for you guys.
Massive win. It's weird because I was talking to Matisse before we started, and I said it's weird because I don't feel like we won. I know we did win.
Felt
but
like you won to me.
It just didn't feel like a win. I think because of how
because the expectations are so high to win.
It's not that I don't want to disrespect Bournemouth at all. And actually, historically, we've gone there and actually kind of struggled, especially in the last few seasons when they've been in the Premier League. We have actually struggled there. It's just I just despair with Tottenham sometimes. Like there was a lot of changes made in this team this week. I think Sanchez comes in, doesn't he? Basuma comes into the midfield skip. A few changes, obviously no Kulusevski, no Richarlison still. So we are very lacking on the
Romero
didn't play even, no. But I look at Emerson Royale and I just despair, Rob.
But he starts him every week. He obviously must like him, right? Because
must be a
he's
good
not
trainer.
playing Jed
To be
Spence.
fair, that
He
no-look
must
pass.
be the best trainer, man, in this whole league. Because if
That- no.
you're getting in this team as if you're Harry Kane, you're like first name on the team sheet,
You know what?
and you've got Jed Spence sitting there on the bench thinking,
What have I
wow,
got to do to get a game
what
round there?
team of the season last year? Loads of teams wanted me. I could have probably gone loads of top teams, and I'm sitting there, I'm warming the bench
Watching
for
them.
this guy. Something is just not mathing to me, like in my head. How this guy is playing every week. He is so bad. He's so bad. And
That no-look pass.
the no-look pass off the
he
pitch.
did
Like,
the other time.
look,
Big
as a
Crosby.
person, I'm sure he's lovely. I love the compilations he does on Twitter and stuff. I'm all for that. But
I
this
don't think you
guy
do.
cannot keep starting. Like Matt
that will
Doherty is
wind you up.
definitely a better.
Is he the one that's
is
been? Is he
definitely
being
better than
singled
him.
out though?
No. This is not him being singled out. This is just
Scapegoated.
fact. This is just knowledge. This is fact. I don't know what Conte is doing
This is facts.
with that. There is absolutely no logical explanation. Jed Spence on the bench. My first point.
Free him up.
Secondly, Davinson Sanchez.
Awful.
Just again, how many times do I have to say should not be at the club? Just not good enough. Has not been good enough since the first day he came into the club 4 or 5 years ago, just not up to it. I think my biggest thing is that, yes, we got the win, but why does it take Tottenham to go 1-0 down, 2-0 down to start playing, and we see it every single week? Every single week. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. Second half, they always play better, but why?
Is that though?
Why?
Is that though, Abby? Because the manager's too pragmatic, and so especially on away games, he goes out there. He's like, right, first thing is, it's just his way. It's how he's always been, right? We're not gonna concede. We're gonna be hard.
We have to suffer.
Yeah, we have to suffer.
We have to
Yeah.
suffer
We must
before we
suffer.
can play.
When someone
then-
says that, come on now, what do you expect? We
Yeah,
must suffer.
and then all of a sudden, it's almost like with Spurs, in a lot of games I've seen with them this season, when they're now forced into playing.
Backs
They're
against the
actually
wall,
a
they
good
play.
team. They're actually a good side. Then you start to see
But they
the
don't
quality
need
of the
to
players
do
that they've got.
Like, I don't know if that is coming from Conte about, keep the handbrake on, like, let's get to a certain point and then take the handbrake off. But stop doing that, because it's not, yes, it's working in the end, but why do we need to sit through that? And even Ryan Sessegnon came out and he said, second half, and we're allowed to kind of move the ball quicker. And we saw that. He made change. I think he brought Dyer on, who absolutely is not our saviour, but looked like our saviour, and brought Bentancur on. We're moving the ball quicker, passing it around Bournemouth. And that's like,
urgency, because you're losing, isn't it?
That's how you should be playing from the start.
Yeah.
You have got
Exactly
the quality in there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to be losing 2-0, chasing the game with like 15 minutes to go and just, hope that, Bournemouth cave in. Like, you need to be starting games like that. Like, set the momentum, set the tempo. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, well, we'll see what you do first. And then you go, oh, 1-0 down now. Now we're going to start playing. Like, just take the game and do something, which is kind of what they were doing last season. So I don't understand what has gone wrong in terms of doing that. I really don't.
A couple of comments there. I love this one from Tenderton. He says, Don Robbie, we need more top 4 representation on this show. Where's Matty Renton? Love that one. And going back to on the Liverpool subject, D-Dye says, Klopp should join a club with money instead of crying, moaning and complaining after every game. Liverpool, a poor beggars club, he said.
Oh, wow.
Listen, they have got money. Listen. What have you made of it, AGT? That's your next game. Your next game is Tottenham away.
Yeah. 2-2 there last season. Kane should have got a big red card in that game last season on a tackle on Henderson. But anyway, we'll move on. Ty's nodding.
You confident you can go there and get something?
No.
I mean,
No.
Despite the fact that, listen,
I'm confident for you.
Listen,
I'm confident for you.
Every Tottenham fan at the moment is moaning, right? That, everyone, I know a load of them, right? And they're all moaning. However, they're in 3rd place on 26 points.
Spurs fans
it's still their best start.
Yeah, but I'm not
they're only
about
4
the
points
position
off
in the
Arsenal.
table. I'm just saying that sometimes the table can be very deceiving because I don't know how we are third.
It's the same with Man United under Oli when they finished second.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be very deceiving.
I don't think based on the football we've been playing, we should be.
You won 8 games.
Third.
Yeah, but the fact that they're third is an indictment of Liverpool and Chelsea being that poor because Tottenham haven't been good this season. Everybody's saying the same thing, but
they haven't played good, but they've got results, and this is a results business. So,
is it sustainable? We'll have to see.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, certainly,
good game on Sunday.
Do you want them to be more like Liverpool coming up the weekend?
Yes.
Do you want them to be more attacking against Liverpool, or do you say to yourself, actually, this is the game where that pragmatic approach might work?
I have always said this season, whenever we've spoken about Conte and about the way Spurs are playing, I've said I don't necessarily care how they play as long as they win games. But and that does still stand, that argument, as long as they win games. But I've seen them play like that and not win games, and that's when it's not okay.
Yeah.
I think at home against Liverpool, I think it's always a game where if in the past when we had you last year, we actually kind of matched you. We didn't necessarily sit back. I didn't feel like I thought we were really good, especially on the counter. Obviously, we don't have Kulusevski, as far as I know, for Sunday, or Richarlison. So, again, it's going to probably be that pragmatic approach, which I don't think helps us. But you coming to us in the state you're in, I think if we had everyone fully fit and we were playing how we did last season, I'd say absolutely Spurs can do this, no problem. But I do think that being Dr. Tottenham, as we always are, I still think this is a very difficult game, regardless of your last few results.
It's a difficult one to predict, actually. Again, it's got a draw written all over it. We haven't won away from home. You're poor, we're poor. It's 2-2.
It's that midfield, though, isn't it? Basuma actually steps up to the level of what he plays.
Basuma has not been good this season. But again, I've seen Basuma, as we all have, however many seasons now in the Premier League, and that's why I'm putting it down to this formation and the way that he's being told to play, because you don't become a poor player overnight. And I think you've gone into a new system that's not letting you thrive.
Yeah.
Okay, just going through a few of the other results on Saturday. Leicester 0, Man City 1. Again,
what a goal.
Great finish. What a free kick by Kevin De Bruyne. In a game, I often wonder when I see these games, right? I get it, you're playing against Man City, Leicester, but why is it that teams just sit in for 70 minutes, then all of a sudden they go mad for the last 20?
Brendan Rodgers literally said that was the game plan.
Yeah, that was the game plan. He did. He said that was the game plan.
Nearly worked.
But it nearly worked.
It didn't work, though. And you didn't work if you've got nothing out of the game. So why not sometimes go for it earlier? You're at home. I get it when you go away from home. But just to sit in the whole game against Man City.
I think for him, he just doesn't want to batter in, isn't it? They've started to regain a little bit of form. The confidence might be coming back into the team. The last thing you need is City drumming you 4-5-0, and then you.
But what about sometimes managers saying, right?
Leicester
not be
Leicester
stupid
poor this
right?
season. Yeah.
Not be stupid. Say, listen, we're going to have a go. We're going to have a bit more of a go. We're at home.
They could have got something out of that game.
Look
No
at their last 20 minutes. There was no Haaland. The last 20 minutes they went for it. They could have got something out of it.
Wasn't a great City performance. Like,
no, it wasn't.
You know, Alvarez stepping in for Haaland. I think he was like 5 out of 10. Some of the players around him didn't do much, but they got the win.
Yeah,
Great finish from.
It's all about the result. And
Leicester could have. That was an amazing strike from Tielemans that was saved. I think, or it might have come off the bar. So it was about right for the result because you know, City without Haaland, they probably won't score 4 or 5 or 6, but. They got the 3 points.
Yep, they did. Another game, Brentford drawing 1-1 with Wolves.
Costa red card.
Yeah,
great goal by Neves in there.
Wonderful
Yeah, Costa.
Neves, wonderful.
Great goal by Neves, who, by the way...
Neves. Someone has got to buy that.
We say this every year.
If we don't buy
nobody
Bellingham,
does.
We need to get rid of
Neves is a player I'd love to see at Arsenal.
Everybody says this, but nobody goes for him.
He'd be perfect.
I would take him as well.
He's levels above what they've got.
Where
at
they
Wolves.
are at Wolves, yeah.
Levels above.
I'm surprised he's been
captain as well now.
Yeah. Crystal Palace 1, Southampton 0. And that was a very good
big
win
for Big Paddy V.
For Palace. Fulham 0, Everton 0.
Boring.
Why was that
game.
Why was that
5:30? That was a boring.
I knew Brighton Chelsea should have been live.
No surprise, it's Everton.
Yeah.
Newcastle
though.
Oh,
Newcastle.
Jesus Christ.
4.
Jack Grealish needs to apologise to
Almiron.
He needs
written.
Send it with a dove
yeah.
as well. Like, actually send an apology note. Because
He's on fire, Almiron.
Nah.
Also,
Right.
Callum Wilson absolutely got to go to the World Cup.
Yeah,
for sure.
I said it
Absolutely.
weeks. If he can stay fit, he's got to go to the World
They've
Cup.
got a good side. Listen, I've been
looking
saying it all
good.
season. They have a good side. I said it before the season.
They're gonna
started,
top up in
right? I
January
remember,
as well.
I keep saying it. I remember when we played them last year, right at the end of the season. And I was like, I know they blew us away, and I know we were terrible that day. But I was so impressed.
Yeah.
I was like, they are a good side, man. The way they play, everything's in sync. You know what I mean? You can see a team where you're like, that's a team. It's
cooking.
Right?
It's definitely
Yeah, and you know, Joe Linton scored as well. What,
I think they'll make top 4.
Yeah.
Purely also for
gonna
the
give it to
fact
them?
I'm going to give it to them because
You think they'll make top 4?
I do think they'll make top 4.
It's not a crazy show.
Well, listen,
Purely for the fact that obviously, look, I know this is going to be a very long, very weird season with the World Cup, but I've always thought that teams that are in and around that area who have done well, I guess, this side of the season and can capitalise on that, maybe, yes, they've got obviously players that will go to the World Cup.
They've got one game a week as well.
One game a week.
I got to wait for the January.
And they can strengthen in
They
January.
are looking very, very good. And I think that there's always been a team that could sneak in this season because of everything else that's going on. All the usual top 6 suspects have got a lot of players going away for the World Cup and very, very disruptive.
All right, Lignesh says, hyping teams before they played affect the season. All hyped about Spurs squad and none about Arsenal. Arsenal winning comfortable, Spurs scraping it. Arsenal could achieve something.
There was a lot of
and then he's
hype
put
over
Haaland
Arsenal.
versus Nunes. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying
You know
to...
what it is? I think people expected Conte to do better than he's doing in terms of, you know, the second season. It's Conte, domestic is kind of his thing.
I think if it was like if he was playing like really nice, sexy football like he was last season, then we wouldn't even be talking about it. We'd say, yeah, he's third, but it's because of the football.
Yeah, because you guys scored a lot of goals last year.
Yeah, and that's just not clicking.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
so Newcastle, though, are looking like a serious threat. And as I keep saying, this guy, the manager...
Eddie Howe, yeah.
Eddie Howe's improved every player at that club.
He really
Look what
has.
he's done to Almiron. Look what he's done
Dan
to Callum
Burn.
Wilson.
Joe Linton, Dan Burn.
By the way,
Dan
we're not
Burn's a
even
shout.
mentioning Alan St. Maximin,
Yeah,
by the way.
St.
That's
Maximin.
how impressive they've
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
Even missed him.
That's how impressive
And
they've been.
Alexander Isak as well. Who
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
hasn't even
Yeah.
come
Hasn't
in
even
yet.
played.
For so long now.
Yeah.
So, you know, they are a serious threat.
Serious
and
threat, bro.
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of teams are going to go to St. James's Park with those fans and that
City
and get
drew
wins
3-all
there.
there earlier on.
Yeah,
in the
you know what I
season.
mean? So it's not a bad shout. You know what I
Telling
mean?
you,
When you
just-
say
just as
Newcastle...
an outside
It's not a bad shout, Abby. I'll tell you,
got them
they're
soon.
fourth at the moment on 24 points. Played 13. They're a good side.
We got them soon.
They are a good side, and you know,
If they strengthen,
currently above Man United and Chelsea and Liverpool. So you know, what I mean, and playing really, really good. And like you said, Almiron, he's been on fire. Let's move to Arsenal.
No, I forgot about that.
Jesus.
5-0 winners over Nottingham Forest. All right, you'd expect Arsenal to win this game. Nottingham Forest at the bottom
Well,
of the
Forest
league.
beat Liverpool last
But
week.
Nottingham Forest did beat did beat Liverpool last week. They would have come into the game with a lot of confidence. Arsenal had that defeat during the week against PSV. But I did kind of think that was a false...
Yeah, it was...
because, there was a lot of players... I think there's 5 changes for that game. And even when I watched the game, there was a lot of players I could see. Like Martinelli, who's normally all action, was just coasting around. And I was thinking, you ain't going to play like that on Sunday.
No, for sure.
And
great header,
it was a great header. It was a very impressive performance by Arsenal. The only worrying thing, Saka going off injured.
How serious do you reckon that is?
I think, I'm not a bloody doctor, am I? I know, right?
Well, it's the old sport.
Dr. Don Robbie.
Dr. Sports.
Is it not Dr. Sports? I thought it was Dr.
We've had a
Sports.
rebrand.
But listen, hopefully it's not bad because I think he's a vital player for England, especially with Sterling being a little bit off. I think Saka's going to be an important player for England and he's an important player for Arsenal. He looked like a kick. So hopefully he's not,
didn't he? And then
but
should have took him off straight away.
He was very uncomfortable with it. So hopefully maybe it's one of them things where it's just a bad knock and he'll be back quickly. But who knows? But have to say, Reece Nelson, he came on for him.
Wow, what a story!
Wow, what
performance!
What a performance!
He's been a player that's been at Arsenal for a long time. He's come through the system. Guys that I know in the sort of coaching
rate him highly.
always said he's the best of all the young players. Not Saka and that, he's the best, right? But he's never, every time he plays for Arsenal, when you've got these players when you can see it, but they're just... Shackles are on. They're just not aggressive enough.
A lot of loans as well.
You look on it, you think,
Fine,
I don't know.
last year.
This could be the moment that he's arrived because I thought he played really well. He basically won us the game.
Do you think he could actually start for you guys in the Premier League and give you something? Because I know Marquinhos has also been.
Well, listen, if you come on and you're a big game changer like that, and I think if Saka is injured for the Chelsea game, I think he will start. How can you drop him after that cameo? 2
Probably
goals
also
and an
about
assist?
confidence in terms of getting a run. If he hasn't ever had that, significant run in the side, then it's hard to kind of build up momentum.
I feel really sorry for him. He's gone on the maddest amount of loans.
Yeah,
and he's never once complained. He's never once sulked. He's just waited.
But I've understood the loans. I've understood the loans because when he's come in, he hasn't looked ready. But you can see the potential there. So I understand the loans. And apparently, like last year, on loan at Feyenoord, he did very well. They got to the final.
Was he
of the
part of the
Conference
Awobi
League
crop, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's still only 22.
Is it?
So he's 22.
Reece Nelson or Maitland-Niles who did the Instagram post.
That was Maitland-Niles. He was fuming. He really wanted to.
I want to see him get more starts. But it was a great cameo performance for him. Great goal by Partey, Odegaard, and a very impressive performance by Arsenal. And they stay top of the league at the moment.
One question for you. Gabby Jesus couldn't score, but performed amazingly yesterday. I saw Lee Judge's fan cam.
Yeah.
Are you worried?
Not in the slightest, no. I think he's maybe trying too hard to score.
Yeah, I think so. I'd
right,
agree
because yesterday he had a couple more chances.
Yeah.
I think I don't think both of them he should have buried. I think there's one of them when the ball was crossed over. I don't know if you saw that one, and he just missed it.
On the line?
On the line, but I think it was the guy in front of him that just put him off.
Yeah.
But he just seems to me like he's trying too hard. But the guy's overall contribution, I mean, personally for me, the reason why Arsenal are doing so well this season is a massive part because of him. Is that everybody just follows him.
Brilliant player.
And I'd be worried if he weren't in the team because he's such him and Saliba, those two players, because Saliba yesterday, I thought he defended the dangerous Oyinwumi.
Yeah, big.
Is that it right? Right.
Taiwo.
He defended him brilliantly. I mean, they just put Saliba only on him, which at first I was looking and thinking, I'm a bit surprised by that, man, because this guy, he looked a handful last week.
Yeah.
But every time Saliba, he's quick, he's strong, and he had a great game. And it was a fantastic performance by Arsenal. Todd Miller says, can Sunday be... Todd Miller, our resident Chelsea fan, big Chelsea fan. He says, can Sunday be cancelled? This may be the first match in a while that I'm not looking forward to playing the Gunners. Missing a trolling troops, of course. That's why I say next week might be quite exciting in here.
Yeah, but
because Tottenham, Liverpool,
God.
Arsenal, Chelsea.
Oh God!
Of
Oh,
course.
God.
Oh God!
Yeah,
Oh God!
Arsenal,
I'm sick next Monday.
Arsenal,
Unless we win.
Arsenal, of course, go to Stamford Bridge next week. And also, Mark T says that is the performance of the season for Arsenal. I wouldn't say that. Clean sheet and a high-scoring match. I'd rather win the league performing well than scrapping matches. This is a long, long way to go. But what I liked about Arsenal is they responded. You know, the day before City won, we had to respond. We responded. And I looked at it and I was thinking, is it one of these weekends, man? Brighton beat Chelsea. Leeds have beaten Liverpool. Tottenham just about scraped. In all these, oh God, there's something going on this weekend.
Spooky.
A little bit worried. Yeah, it's getting spooky. Halloween. But it was a great response by Arsenal and a fantastic win. And
would you potentially look at getting a striker in January? Or would you?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. I still think, listen, Arsenal is still short. As I said, if Jesus is out, I'm worried. If Saliba's... Well, not so much Saliba. I think, the defence is looking really good. But I think we could do with another midfielder. Partey's out. The guys that come in are nowhere near his levels. And I think Jesus... I'd like to see a different type of striker.
Yeah.
Somebody who's good in the air.
Ivan Toney?
He'd be perfect.
Haven't you just given Eddie a new number 14 and 100 grand?
We have, but he's too similar for me. You need more than two strikers, I feel.
Yeah.
Or if it's not another striker, it needs to be another goal-scoring forward player.
Yeah, goal-scoring winger.
But, it's going good at the moment, but it's a very, very long way to go.
Long season.
But listen, what can I say? As an Arsenal fan, I'm very, very happy with what I'm
When
seeing.
do you start getting nervous? When do we start seeing nerves from you? What month, if you're still in this position?
If we're still in this position in
March.
March,
You will be
Oh my God, mate.
oh my God, oh my God, it'd be oh my God.
You'll start seeing it from me as well.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
If we're in this position in March, but it's a long way to go, and there's still a lot to be done.
play for.
But listen, it's good for us at the moment, and also you got to hand it to Man United. They are creeping up the table as well, winning 1-0 yesterday against West Ham. Lucky.
We did the show with Lawless.
De Gea made some great saves, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's pulled 2 out of the top drawer.
That one at the end.
Yeah. The one at the end from the Kurt Zuma header and the one right at the
Yeah.
end as well.
Nice.
Mate, what a goalkeeper. It's a shame he can't use his feet. That's why he's not been picked in Luis Enrique's
squad, yeah.
55
players,
How are you
and he's
getting
not
in a
in. That is
55
insane.
man squad.
I couldn't believe it when I seen that.
He was
You were
50.
close to him. I'm sure.
Mad.
He was 50.
Is there five goalkeepers in that squad?
It's 50. Yeah, 5.
And that's mad that he doesn't get in that.
That's
mad.
That's crazy. But what a performance from him. And I joked yesterday, if you look back at the saves he's made in his United career, and I know it might seem funny in taking the mick, but he genuinely, on a couple of occasions, has saved them from going down. He's been that good.
Going
He's
down.
been that good.
Going
Seriously,
down.
If you look back, at the times that he's held them and saved, it's unbelievable. Good finish from Rashford. Great cross.
Yeah,
From Eriksen. That's what they brought him in to do. And that's what Rashford needs to keep on doing. I think he's the 7th quickest United player to ever get to 100 goals.
Yeah.
Dennis
Wow,
Law
it's a
did
great
it.
header, by the way.
100 goals in 104 games, I think Dennis Law did it. So that shows you how high he's
And
held
he's
at
really
United.
come back to form, hasn't he? Because last season, even he said he weren't in the right headspace.
No, mentally he was all over it.
He's involved now.
He's back now.
It's like a Ronaldo-like header.
Do you think he should be going to the
Keeper
World
could
Cup?
have saved that though.
I think he's definitely in conversations for it.
He's
I
in
think he
contention.
definitely
Would you
would
have
be.
him or Sterling at the minute?
Then
Or
you're
Sancho.
looking at Sterling in the last
Sancho's
Euros.
not even being mentioned at the minute.
not-
by the
not
way.
having
I wouldn't have
Sancho.
Sancho. I think Sterling, based on his last performance at the Euros, you still got to take him for me.
But I think that if you're basing it on form,
Who?
Sterling. I
Sterling,
don't think
Sterling,
you
that's
can't
I
leave
think if
Sterling,
you're basing
in
it
my
on form, I
opinion.
think Rashford is.
Really?
I don't know. Rashford missed a
But
lot of chances in the last few
Rashford's
games.
done very well this
He's
season
missing
so
a
far.
lot of chances. I know he obviously scored
He's
this
also
weekend.
scoring though.
Yeah.
I think. Look, I think it's very tight between the two. I think again, you probably take Sterling based on history as well.
Yeah.
But I think if you do take it on form, which is what you're meant to do.
I'm going to put in a shout. But by the way, smash the like button. Loving how many people. Nearly 6,000 of you watching live at the moment. So loving that. But I've got to put a shout in for Ben White. If he does not go to the World Cup, there's something wrong, right? He's been exceptional this season. He can play right back. I remember there's no Reece James at the moment, right? And he's been exceptional at right back.
Trent.
And he can play centre back, right? So
It took me a second. Do you know what? Don't take him. I'd rather he stays.
he can play centre back as well. And he played both positions for Arsenal yesterday. He's quality
Benny Blanco.
quality player.
Benny
He has
Blanco.
to go. Honestly, if he don't go, there's something's wrong.
There is something wrong.
But you know what is wrong, and his name is Gareth Southgate. You already know this.
Like, you know what's going to happen. He's going to take Connor Cody. He's going to take Mings.
Yeah.
And he's going to take...
Jake
who else is
Livermore,
there?
he'll be going.
Yeah.
And like you said, if fit, I mean, we're talking about Rashford, but if fit, I'd bring Callum Wilson in front of him.
For sure.
Yeah.
Callum
Callum Wilson, Tony
is-
and
Callum
Kane.
Wilson,
is a
100%.
excellent
All three of them.
player,
When he
man.
plays,
He's
he scores.
For me, Callum
He's
Wilson,
unbelievable.
absolutely
In the box,
goes if he's
there's
fit.
not many more clinical. I've seen some brilliant
Yeah.
goals from him this season.
he's
Brilliant
an
flicks.
absolute handful, man. He's a really, really top player. And
Yeah.
for me, he has to go. But United looking good, man. Now in 5th place, 12 games they play. I mean, everyone's talking about Newcastle, but they played a game less than Newcastle, and they're on 23 points. Newcastle on 24. So you're starting to think that Ten Hag has really turned it around. Do you think United will make the top 4 this season?
I hope not. Because if they do, then we're definitely not.
He doesn't want to
It's
say
as
it.
simple
As
that.
it stands, this is the top 4. Arsenal top on 31 points, played 12 games. Man City 2 points back on 29 points, played 12. Tottenham have played 13 on 26 points. Newcastle played 13 on 24. Man United have played 12, one less on 24. And Chelsea in 6th place, they've played 12 as well on 21 points. Fulham in 7th at the moment in the 7th place. They're doing really well. And Brighton in 8th. Liverpool in 9th.
Yeah, see
Can't
more
believe
settings.
it. And at the bottom of the table is Nottingham Forest on 9 points from 13 games. Wolves dropping
Bad.
10 points. They've got
Where's
all the,
Matthias Nunes?
all the
What's he
Midlands teams on 13 points. And
Should have come off.
yeah, and Leicester dropped back a bit after that defeat, but their season's not going to be defined by beating playing Man City. They're on 12. Aston Villa, who also got an absolute beat down, as we said. That lasted 1 week.
Yeah.
Their success in it.
Gerard
beat
was there
down
like,
at
it's like
Newcastle.
lads when they got battered 4-0.
On 12 points. So it's very tight at the bottom. And it's very tight at the top. So it's still very early in the season. But
Long way to go. A long way to go.
feeling confident you'll get top 4.
Just say no.
You must feel confident you get top 4. Listen,
You can't feel
Do you
confident.
know? I don't know.
think.
I don't know. At the moment, I'll say yeah.
There's too many teams
It's just
involved.
there's just too much going on this season.
I think last day of the
let's talk
season,
again. Let's
there
talk
could
again in
be-
February.
I think Tottenham could get top
last day
4.
of the season, there could be 3-4 teams battling
Going
out on the
out.
final
I've,
day.
would be
I've got
horrible.
a feeling the final spot will be the Newcastle or United, but I think it probably will go to like last
So
day.
everyone around this table doesn't think Liverpool getting Champions League.
Currently, no.
At the
I
moment,
think you could. It depends on your January. This is why I'm not saying any revised predictions
Yeah.
because we need to see what happens in January transfer
It's
window.
very
Some teams
early.
are going to actually address their problems and look like different teams, and some teams are going to neglect their problems.
We're a
and
third of the way through now, though.
So
at the
True.
moment, I don't think. I think it's
I'm-
going to be struggle for Liverpool to get top 4 because you know what I always look at, right, is how many teams are in front of you. It's not just,
Yeah.
like sometimes you look at it and you say, right, top 4 at the moment is 24 points, Liverpool on 16.
you never
That's
know,
only
Robbie. Injuries.
That's only 6 back. You know what I mean? It's only a couple of wins. But when you then look on it and say, yeah, but it's not just Newcastle. You've got to get past Chelsea and Man United
And
to get into those
Newcastle
spots.
as well.
Can happen.
Then you start to think to yourself, that's going to be a struggle.
No,
Unless Liverpool get it together very fast. I think if Liverpool are to have top 4 aspirations, they need to beat Tottenham this week. If they beat Tottenham this weekend, then I think, yeah, they're back in it in a big way. But I think
I'm
if they don't beat Tottenham, you have to start worrying about Liverpool for the top 4.
I wouldn't rule them out until I see the end of the transfer window. If they
Yeah.
don't address anything in January and they go
There'll be
in
riots if
February
we
with the
don't,
same
though.
team, then I'll rule them out.
There'll
Yeah.
be riots. There'll be riots if we don't do something in
Yeah,
January.
and I think that goes for a lot of us. I
But-
think same with Spurs, same with Chelsea, probably
Who-
same with Arsenal, having
Who
this
would you get?
conversation
Who
in
would you
February.
get in January? Because
I
Jude
mean,
Bellingham's not
we
going to
can
come
we
in
can
January.
tout
is he?
his name around, but surely there's a list below him of the plan B, the contingency plan. If we can't get him,
We
can't
need
just
a DM anyway, so it's
yeah,
just
we
not
need
just
one
him
anyway. We could do with 3 midfielders actually, really, because this season is the last for Keita
Klopp's
and the
not going
Ox
to do
for
that.
sure.
Though. He looks
But
like a loyal guy as well.
He's
doesn't he?
minimum
Keita,
two.
the Ox will definitely be going. Plus, we need one anyway.
Milner's
so
old.
that's 3. Milner might go. So that's maybe even 4 that we need. Curtis Jones might go. We might need 5. We might need just a whole surgery in
You're
that
not gonna get it in
midfield
January,
area.
are you?
No, obviously
Should be
not.
going
But
for 2.
we've got to get 2 at least.
Yeah.
Got to change things up, man.
Melo is
He might come back, Arthur Melo, from injury.
He's out for a long time, man. As Klopp said on Friday, it's a serious. It's a calf injury. Like, how serious can calf injuries be? I don't know.
Both of us needed midfielders. We both got midfielders, and we've both never seen them play.
We've signed 2 midfielders since we won the Champions League. Thiago and Arthur Melo. That's all you need to say.
Brazilian brace.
Wow. Why would King Me says, why would Bellingham want to play with Henderson?
Exactly. Not at the minute. At the minute he wouldn't.
Alex Johnson says Haaland will lift the title and the Champions League. Wow.
All right, slow down on that last one.
If he's not injured.
Huh?
Yeah, that's the one weekend when we're not talking
day.
about him scoring because he wasn't fit to play.
He didn't score this weekend,
Thank
did
God he didn't score this weekend.
It's because he won't play.
Don't mention that.
You know, and you saw how much they, you know, funny enough, there was somebody who, I think it might have been Lee, he was saying in his, when he done his fan cam on AFTV, he's going, everybody talks about the drop-off at Arsenal when certain players are out. He goes, well, look at the drop-off when Haaland was out. You know what I mean? He goes, it's impossible.
I would
there are
say
certain players
it's more noticeable with City, obviously, because of Haaland. But also last season, you would have still had Sterling there, you would have had Jesus there. So you've sacrificed players to get Haaland and balance your books, essentially. So that is why you notice it a lot more now.
Alvarez not.
There's a couple of super chats here. It's not coming up on my screen, so I'll see it here. Super chat says, from the legendary villain, AGT, your bitterness is showing. Not a great look when it comes to United. Did you talk about Ronaldo being missed?
Oh, he's got the...
Quite a cool mask.
That's a good look.
It's a really good mask.
It's a really good mask.
Huh?
I've said all I need to say.
You going trick-or-treating later?
Yeah.
I might go as well.
Big Gus, big Gus.
Well, listen, we're drawing towards the end of the show today.
Thank God for that.
I can't believe. You know what? I just can't believe that I'm coming in on a
Monday.
on a Monday, and listening to a Liverpool fan. Because you know what? Even with Chelsea over the past few years in the league's been a bit
This is what we do.
up and down.
Yeah, we like to play games.
But Liverpool have been so consistent.
Too consistent.
Like the great Nelly Furtado once said,
all good things must come to an end.
Must come to an end.
Yeah.
Cycles.
Great
Do you think it's come to an end?
Yes.
Find out next week on the weekend roundup on DR Sports after we play.
It has.
At the Tottenham
He knows it
Hotspur
has.
Stadium.
He knows it has. He knows.
I did that one by Tom Miller, who was asking if anyway Sunday can be cancelled. Already done that.
Yeah,
One. That's
done
going to
that
be a tough match for Arsenal. Definitely, I think Chelsea are going to be really up for that game. But if Arsenal do win, you know what I was saying? Was that Big X and Rants coming for that nerd?
Why was best of enemies? I heard my name mentioned so many times. I'm not on the best of enemies.
Because the Tottenham sketch with KG, that's why.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You participated in that, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to cook you for that.
I forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
I need to watch that.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah. But is it Pasquinel? It says, Abby, I love you.
Oh, thank you. Aww.
There you go.
It's nice to be
None
told
for
you
you.
love.
There's none for you saying that.
I'm not surprised, bro.
There is absolutely nothing saying they love you.
Wait, there was no like comma and then actually I'm joking. There was none of that, no.
Yeah.
No. So listen, we've reached the end of the show today. Don't forget, right? We've got watch-alongs to some big Champions League games this week.
Big game for Tottenham.
I didn't. You know what? Actually, before no,
I really thought I could get
hold
out
it. We're not gone quite yet. I've got to ask you about that because you guys are both qualified. But this is big, Abby. I mean, on
straight.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Tomorrow night.
Tuesday night, the game, Marseille away.
That is a tough.
Easy, very hostile place to
All
go
the places I probably wouldn't have wanted it to come down to was probably at Marseille.
Yeah.
I was actually meant to be going. I'm not going anymore. The club literally advised people to not go. They're like,
they did that to us in Napoli as well, yeah.
Do not go. And they did the same at Frankfurt.
Yeah. They said that
You'd be
to us.
right, aren't you?
No, apparently they literally really...
Joey
Both
Barton
your
on the
white
front
kids.
Really
line.
don't go. Really don't go. If you don't have to go, don't go.
But it's a very hostile.
It's a very hostile place to go. Would not have wanted this game to come down to this, to be honest with you.
The whole group's tight, isn't it? Anybody could go through.
I think
Yeah.
it's pretty
Could
much
be
like,
an amazing week for Spurs. It could be a horrible week for Spurs.
Exactly.
Spursy.
Marseille. like you said, the thing about the group is that every single team can go.
I think
through.
Spurs only need a point though.
They only need to
They
draw,
only need to draw to go through.
Yeah, if you draw, you're through.
Yes.
Alexis Sanchez, Guendouzi.
It's tough.
Who's
it's,
the other one?
It's very, very tough.
Nuno Tavares.
Kolasinac.
Oh, they got 4.
They got all the ops over there, yeah.
It's hard, and obviously the return fixture at Spurs earlier on in the season, Richarlison. I think that was when Richarlison
when he scored them 2 headers.
And Joey Barton was in the away end.
Yeah. Man like Joey Barton, honestly. Yes, it's going to be very tough if there's no Richarlison. No, because I'm really just dreading it.
If you remember that game,
I just want it to be over.
If you remember that game, I thought Marseille were playing very well.
They were playing very well.
Until they went down to 10 men.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the game changed.
It's going to be very, very tough. Very tough.
Should win though. You think?
I think that we would maybe have enough to get a draw, and I know that we just need a draw. So that's what I'm focused on.
This is where Conte's style of football, I think, may come into.
If Guendouzi smashes one in for Arsenal and sends them into
but
the
the thing is, I don't want to get in a position where he plays this style of football. They got Tottenham go 1-0 down, and then we can't do anything.
Yeah.
Because I think Marseille are a very, very tough
They will
outfit.
score.
I do think
I
you'll
think
get
they
through
will
if I'm
score,
being
but
honest, but it's going to be.
I'd like to also make sure that we are also capable of scoring.
All right, we're going to have that.
And I would also really like to say Brian Gill really should be starting.
Really
every
starting now?
Every time, well, at the moment we've got no Kulusevski, no Richarlison. He's come on at least 3-4 times in Champions League and in Premier League, and he's looked really good. Champions League, he's done things to change the game. When a penalty came, missed it, whatever. But he's done more for me, this season. And obviously, Lucas Moura is always going to be a legend because of Ajax. But yeah, I mean, he literally did the impossible. Got us to a Champions League final. My guy's a legend.
How did that one go? That final?
Shut up, Alex. It wasn't even a penalty, but still. To my grave, it was
It
never
doesn't
a
say
penalty.
that when the 6 is on the old
Don't
wall.
start just because we have each other. But Brian Gill has done enough for me that I think that he should be starting. Lucas Moura, great work ethic, lovely player,
Great
but
bloke.
I think for me,
Great lad.
just maybe again missing on the quality now, a little bit older.
Yeah.
Brian Hill, give him a start.
Okay, well, we're going to have that on DR
And
Sports.
free
so
Jed Spence.
Brian Gilday.
Free Jed Spence.
We're going to have that. We're going to have that here on DR Sports. Make sure you check that out. Watch alongs on Tuesday and Wednesday for the Champions League. Legendary villain with the super chat. He says, "I like United. Are just doing our thing. Everyone else is downplaying us, which will help us in the long run. Best record against the Big Six so far in the league." That is true. Legend. Manchester United.
He's a
What a
legend.
trophy.
He did the impossible.
He's still going on about that.
He did
Yeah,
the
the super chat.
You look and say what you want in the chat. He's a legend to me. He did something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. So.
Anyway, we've reached the end of the show. Listen, thank you very much to everybody. Don't forget to subscribe here to DR Sports. There was somebody in the chat earlier on. I'm sorry, I missed your super chat, but he was asking the question, what are we doing for the World Cup here on DR Sports? We are featuring every single game of the World Cup. We're going to be doing a watch-along to every single game. What was the name of the guy?
Joe Abdi.
Joe Abdi. So we're going to be doing every game here in the studio, doing a watch-along with fans from the various countries. All of the guys that you see here will be figuring. We're also going to be over there in Qatar, soaking up the atmosphere and finding out what's happening on the ground as well, in games, in fan parks. We're going to be all over it here on DR Sports. So make sure you check it out. Lots and lots of videos coming out very shortly, actually, previewing the World Cup because it's only 2 weeks away.
Bro.
It's mad.
Jesus,
in the middle of a season.
Thank God.
Thank
because
God, yeah.
could do with a break.
Yeah,
Big
you
fan.
lot, I want it to
Big
keep
fan.
going.
No,
You know what I mean?
I can't wait for
I've
this
already
break.
got my ready-made excuse for if it don't go right for us.
Oh, yeah.
Why did they go and put the World Cup in the middle of the season and mess up? We were going to win the league. But anyway, listen, thanks very much.
God.
Subscribe to the channel. Right, don't forget to check out Matisse over on his channel as well. The link will be in the description. Also AGT. And of course, you can always find Abby right here on DR Sports with the great previews and reviews and on this show. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.